got lucky. After I done Johnny's video, I didn't realize it, but Glenna had sent me a photo in Dropbox for me to work on her image. And then Sue also sent me one either yesterday or the day before. So I'm going to go ahead and do Glenna's. This is a beautiful bear. Don't know where it was shot, but that doesn't really matter. This file is 59 megabytes. It was shot with a Nikon, her older camera, her D70 or 7500. It was shot with a 600 millimeter. Actually, it was shot with a 400 millimeter, 1:4, and it's a crop sensor of Nikon 0.15, so it means it was shot at 600 millimeters. And you can see the settings up here. It shot as 1/202 f6.3 at ISO 2000. So very good image. First thing I always do is look and see if there's any noise. There might be a little bit. So since this is a raw, we're going to go ahead and go into develop module, and I'm going to go to detail, and I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to click on the denoise where it does it all by itself with the AI function. So let's see what this does for us. All right, let's turn it off real quick and see what we got. Turn it back on and see what we got. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave it on there. I think it looks better. I don't think it looks much better, but it looks better. So let's go ahead and go back here to the develop, to the edit key or edit tab, which is this one with the little sliders. And first thing I'm going to do, and I always do, is I'm going to come up here and do adaptive color, because again, this is a raw image. So I'm going to click on that. Oh, bam, that right there already did it. Well, let's see what auto does. Let's go back to Control Z and hit auto. That one worked too, but I'm going to go with adaptive color. I really like what that done to us. Let's, just for giggles, let's look at what landscape would do for us. That doesn't do much. So again, we're going back to adaptive color. So man, that does quite a bit. It really toned down the highlights, which is nice. Really a nice effect. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. The black points, even though there is a little clipping, let's see where that's at, where it starts showing up first. Okay, so I kind of like that. So we're going to go right there. I really like the deep colors in them. I'm going to, of course, take my contrast up to about 20. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to take my blacks up just a little bit since we've done the contrast. Right about in there. Highlights look good. And so do the whites. We'll try the shadows, but I don't think it's going to do much for us. And it punched it up a little bit. So we'll go ahead and go to there, which is a plus 30. We'll take the vibrance up to where we think it looks good. Don't want to go too far because it really makes those greens become green, if that makes sense. We're going to go to 18, and then let's take the saturation up just maybe 2 or 3, because again, if you take, oops, hit the wrong button. Sorry guys, saturation. If we take saturation up again, it really starts making the greens look. So let's go back to 0. Let's go up to 3. I think that looks pretty good. So before we go to sharpening, I want to actually take and make a mask. It looks like he already made a mask, but I don't know what it made a mask for. So we're going to delete that one and see what it does for us. It didn't do nothing. That's good. So let's go ahead and do select subject and see how it does on the bear. That done really, really well. So we're going to go with this. What I want to do right away is I want to go ahead and I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to name this bear. Okay, and now you can see it's named bear. I'm going to right click and do duplicate and invert mask, which is going to give me another mask, but it's going to give me all the background without the bear, as you can tell. Oops, now I just noticed we got a problem. So let's go back here and let's do add, brush, and let's make sure that this ear is totally covered, because it wasn't whenever we done it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this inverted one, and then I'm going to right click and do, oops, let me make sure I'm on that layer. I'm going to go on right click and I'm going to duplicate and invert again, and this time it got rid of that ear, which is nice, which is what I wanted, because I really don't plan on doing anything with the bear. I plan on doing stuff with the background. So let's take the highlights down and see what that does for us. I'm liking that too. Let's take the contrast up just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to play around with the tint, because tint can sometimes really make a huge difference. Okay, that's turning it blue, which is making it cold. Let's make it warm. Let's go back to 0 first, and then let's make it warm. I'm liking what it's doing with the background color. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to a plus 16. We can also change the tint. This will take some of the green out. If you go to the right, which I don't like that because it turns everything purple, and I don't like where it does there either. So let's go ahead and turn that off. Again, my blacks are looking really good on the bear, but let's go see what we can do to the bear if there's anything at all. Sometimes a bear, you'll get a blue tint on them. So at that point, I'll use the temperature slider and I'll actually move it to the right. That actually kind of looks kind of cool, but these bears are really black. So we're going to take that back down to 0. And then we're going to, let me just look at the bear again. Yeah, I'm liking it. I don't think we're going to do anything with the bear at all. Could add a little bit of texture to him. Well, just a little bit, which will make it a little more sharper. So we're going to say that's good. And we're going to close that. So now what I'm thinking is I'm going to go back to my develop module, or to the slider tab, and I'm going to punch this up just a little bit to get a little bit more overall exposure on this thing. So it's looking really, really good. I'm not going to do anything with color mixture detail. I will come in here, and since I didn't zip this over to topaz, I'm going to sharpen it about 110 or whatever. I'm going to zoom in and see if that made it look crunchy. Maybe a little bit back in here, but that's water on the bear. So we're going to tone this down just a little bit. Okay, we're going to go there because there's a lot of detail in his face. So zoom back out, and this time let's make this 1.3, which is my magic number. Okay, and then I'm going to hold down on the Mac, I'm going to hold down the Option key, and then I'm going to left click and drag. And again, anything in white will get sharpened, anything in black will not. So I'm going to go about it right in here because I want to sharpen the face just a little bit. Looking good. I didn't really like sharpening all this stuff, but again, that's kind of where the focus. It looks like, actually, when you look at this thing, it looks like maybe the focus hit this grass and maybe missed the eye, but the eyes are still pretty tack sharp, so it doesn't really matter. It was a 6.3. There was probably, and if she was shooting at the 400 millimeter, means she was back quite a ways, which means that it gave her a little bit more depth of field, which that's really, really nice. So we're there. Now let's go ahead and do a crop. And you guys know I like 16 by 9. Really even shouldn't have to say that anymore. So 16 by 9, this may not work out very well because we're losing a little bit of space. So if I come down in here and do the rule of thirds, now I'm going to come up just a little bit, and let's look at that full screen. That looks pretty good, but it really gives, it's almost too tight of a crop. So let's go full screen again. I'm going to stick with the original aspect ratio, so as shot. And at this point now I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to get rid of a little bit of that left side because it's just negative space. And now I'm going to come down and I'm going to keep some of this foreground, and I'm going to keep the bear kind of in there. The bear is looking towards the right, which means I want a little bit more space here. And I kind of like that. So let's hit R again to set this in, and then let's go full screen again and take another look at it. Okay, this is looking really, really nice. I love the negative space over here and the space for the bear to look through. I really love these grasses right in here. I think it adds a lot of element. You do have some stuff on the bear. I would probably not get rid of that, but you could very easily. Again, we've done this before in the last image that I worked on. Again, all you would have to do is come in here and hit the remove tool. You would hit remove's already on. So at this point, you could come in here and maybe get rid of some of the bigger spots if you really wanted to. I wouldn't probably take them all off of his face, just because it kind of adds a little bit to me, because you know he's been walking through these weeds. So I'm probably going to end it right about there. Let me make sure there's nothing up here. Nope, there's not. And I'm going to leave it at that. All right, I'm going to hit remove. Hopefully everybody's having a beautiful, gloomy Sunday, and the weather is just kind of ugly, nasty. Looks like it's just snow out there, so maybe we'll get our first snow today. I want to hit close because it's done, and that cleaned them up a little bit. Again, you could go through here and get rid of all of this stuff, but again, I don't really think it's necessary on this image. So the last thing we're going to do is actually a couple things. Since we've done some processing, it's saying our masks need to be updated. So if you click on this, it's saying right now our adaptive profile and masking needs to be updated. So we're going to click update all. we really won't see any difference, but it's always good to do that because it's the AI and it does its own little magical touches. So we've done that. Let's go back to the sliders again. And at this point, we're going to go down here and do a lens effect, which again, we're going to do a negative vignette. So we're going to slide this to, let's do 20, let's try 15, and I'm going to turn it off. 15 looks good. Let's go to 11. 11. Let's go to 9. Okay, I'm going to split the difference and go 10. So final image is this right here. And again, this one might have worked, it might be a little more sharper if I would have took it into topaz. So it's not a big deal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight both of those, which they are highlighted. I'm going to hit the letter C for compare. And again, I'm going to hit the tab button, which will take care, which will remove or actually hide both my side panels to give me a little better view. So here we got them side by side. Again, we did crop a little bit off. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the face. Well, as you can tell, it gave us quite a bit more detail. Actually, the detail looks good on here. And now that I'm looking at this, and it could be maybe because it did get processed in topaz, it looks a little blue to me. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to hit C to get rid of the compare. I'm going to click on to the one that we edited. And at this point, I'm going to go back and hit Tab to give me my side panels. And I'm going to go into the Develop module. And I'm going to come back up here. And this time I want to use the temperature slider. So we're going to take that a little bit to the right and just to see what it does for us. That does a little bit. So we're going to now go back and hit the blacks, and we're going to take the blacks down quite a bit. And then I'm also going to take the overall exposure up just a little bit, just to make it just a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go full screen again. All right, I'm going to say that is our finished image. So great image, very cool. Again, the difference between the two is here, and you can see that it gave it a little bit more punch. I think it turned out pretty good. Glenna, I would be thrilled to hear what you think about it. Anybody else gets an image or has an image that they would like me to, how would I edit your image? I'd be more than happy to do it. Again, guys, remember that this is my edit of her image. So, you know, your vision or her vision, Glenna's vision may be totally different from mine, which again is fine. And that's what photographers do. You try to catch it in your own, how you saw it, I guess, how your own eyes saw it. But in this case, you got to remember she was shooting raw. So as soon as you shoot raw, it kind of takes a lot of that. It dulls your image, flattens your image, because at that point, it's not doing any kind of computer processing in your camera. Hence, that's the reason you got to use Lightroom to punch it up and make it look like you actually saw. So again, I really love this image. Great job, Glenna. And hopefully everybody else will keep sending me images. So that's it. Thank you.